Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are right now. Welcome to another edition of the Mark Moses Show as we are broadcasting live from the Anidjar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios. Yes, take back control of your life. Call them today, 1-800-747-FREE. That's 1-800-747-3733. Anidjar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Also want to give a shout out to Chumley's Depot in downtown Melbourne, where friends meet, and Walk On Sports Bistreaux right there in Vieira. Yes, welcome to a Monday. We had a Game 7 last night. I wouldn't say it was the greatest game ever played, but to break it down, and this guy has joined me all postseason, and I had to look it up. It's our 12th NBA playoffs, talking playoff basketball together. Here's my good friend, Coach Billy Mims. Coach, how you doing today?
Terrible, Mark. Absolutely terrible, right? College basketball is over. Yep. The NBA is over. I can't even find an international game to watch. There's no big hoops coming up this summer. So what are we stuck with now? Major League Baseball, the Gold Cup, U.S. soccer, which is not too promising. So for a sports junkie basketball fan like I am, this is like sad times. We don't get basketball again until what? October?
Yeah, it's going to be a minute. So let's get to the obvious question. How bad did you feel for Tyrese Halliburton when he blew out the Achilles last night?
I mean, obviously, I still think the Achilles might have been he kept saying a calf issue. I think it was actually the Achilles that was bothering him all along, and it was a problem. It was stretched. It was strained. It was probably ready to pop. And last night we saw it did. 7 minutes into the game, he was lighting them up. He had already made 3 out of 4 threes, 9 points in 7 minutes. He was off to a great start. So one, you feel really bad for a kid who was trying to battle through injury to help his team win a world championship. And again, the Indiana Pacers were a great story in the postseason. But the biggest part of their comeback kid's story was probably the late game antics of Tyrese Halliburton. You know, the big game-winning shots he made in the playoffs. You know, he single-handedly almost killed the New York Knicks and cost Tom Thibodeau his job in New York. So, I mean, it's been an incredible run, a great story. Feel terrible for Tyrese Halliburton, but I even feel worse for the Indiana Pacers. And as we break this down today, I'll show you. I don't believe the Oklahoma City Thunder played an amazing Game 7. They didn't do what you have to do at home to win the NBA championship. They got lucky because the superstar on the other team left 7 minutes into the game. I ask you this. It was a 12-point game in the end, 12 points. And they only scored 103 points, okay? If Tyrese Halliburton plays the entire game, surely the Indiana Pacers score more than 103 points. Surely they do. And number two, I ask you this. If Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, the star of the Oklahoma City Thunder, only plays 7 minutes, do they have any chance to win?
No.
So this game is dictated by an injury.
Okay. There's much to unpack with those. I appreciate that. I do. All right. In 15 years, if you randomly came up to me on the street and said, okay, what happened in the 24-25 season? The first thing I will say is the Dallas Mavericks were on some type of drug and traded Luka Doncic. That's the number one thing from this season. The number one thing. Number two, the Indiana Pacers went on this March Madness Cinderella run, and they almost pulled it off in the title game. It's like one of these like Butler VCU type runs, and they made it all the way to Game 7, and they ran out of gas where Halliburton got injured. They were right there. And then at third, oh, yeah, OKC won. And SJ, look that. And look,
Hey,
what?
And don't leave out the Orlando Magic traded 5 picks for Desmond Bane.
That's right. That'll be at number 4. Okay, so it'll be. And what's funny with SGA, hey, I know this is gonna really anger you. Regular season MVP, conference finals MVP, finals MVP, and he averaged 32 points in the regular season, averaged 30 in the finals. A historic one, even though you think the Joker's better. And you might be right. I'm going to tell you this. He was the difference last night for the Thunder. You are absolutely right. If he does not play, they are toast. He only shot 8 for 25, but man, 12 assists. 29 points? They needed him. He had to make those plays. There was that stretch run in that third quarter, and I think I texted you this in the moment to make you vomit because I know you love this. Right. I think it might have been a 4 or 5 point game. And TJ McConnell playing out of his mind, scoring like he's Allen Iverson on every possession.
And Benedict Mathurin off the bench as well.
He did. Those two guys are great. But there was a point there where it was a close game. And then this was the difference. SGA hit a 3. Then he hit his teammate for a 3. Then he hit another teammate for a 3. 9-0 run in about 45 seconds. He was, the word I texted you last night, he was magnificent. When he had a game 7, he had to show up. He did. They survived the Pacers. That's how they survived. Right. The Pacers were a buzzsaw, and they would have beaten any other team, but Oklahoma City, and I agree, did not play their best game. They did not. But their guys showed. SGE, Alex Caruso off the bench was great. I thought Williams made plays when he had to. And look, Chet Holmgren on defense was fantastic. Finally figured out he's 7'3" and made plays. I look, they survived the Pacers. That's how I look at that game last night.
Well, and again, I say they're lucky. They're the lucky beneficiary of a very bad injury. Okay? And the Pacers, despite the bad injury to Halliburton, won game 6 big time. Yeah. They won by 30, and Halliburton only played 24 minutes so literally only played half the game in game 6, and the Pacers still blew out the Oklahoma City Thunder, okay? Thunder didn't really blow the Pacers out in any game in this series.
No.
All the games were competitive for long, long measures of the game, except game 6 in Indianapolis. And I will say this, you were a little kind to SGA. You had him down at 8 for 25. He was actually 8 for 27. Okay.
I'm sorry.
Wait, let's get better. Let's delve into it a little more, because we all know SGA's prowess is a 15-foot push off, fade away, create space, in the paint jump shot. Basically in the paint, around the foul line area, just get into the paint and he can knock it down. But he was 2 for 12 from 3. 2 for 12. So if you look at those numbers, how many MVPs could you go back in NBA history, NBA Finals MVP, that shot 8 for 27 and 2 for 12, and you became MVP? In most cases, Mark, those numbers lead to a losing game 7.
You know what it was? We talked about this on Friday. I think Kobe Bryant, God rest his soul, I think that game 7 against Boston, the last one he won, he was also terrible in that game, like 6 for 24 and won Finals MVP. But look, it's one game. You just have to survive.
Well, and look at how they did it, okay? So the question is, well, what did he do? So I'm not saying he was awful. I'm saying he didn't have an MVP Finals performance in game 7, okay? Now, he had great games prior to that, no doubt. Game 7 wasn't his finest hour. But what did he do? You're right. They don't win without him. And what did he do for them to win? He still, as Doris Burke put it, Mr. Free Throw Merchant.
Yes.
He was 11 for 12 at the line. Now, saying that, Benedict Mathurin came off the bench for Indy and was 10 for 10 at the line. But Benedict Mathurin was in no way a candidate for finals MVP. So SGA was 11 for 12 at the free throw line. So he shot more free throws than anybody else. He made more free throws than anybody else. But he also, assist-wise, had 12 assists in the ball game.
I think also one turnover.
Yeah, he didn't turn the ball over.
Yeah.
So if it goes back to what I said, that he gets to the free throw line for his point production. He's not a great three-point shooter. It's in the paint or at the free throw line. He's a 15-foot player, whether it's a 15-foot jump shot or a 15-foot free throw. He's a 15-foot star, okay? Get him around 15 feet. Get him anywhere around that free throw line. He's money, okay? And he makes great decisions with the basketball. He's not a selfish. So this is a guy, now remind you, this is a guy that for the entire year, the only reason he's probably the most valuable player in the NBA, he led the league in scoring. And hats off to him. That's a great accolade. Great. There's only what? You said it to me yesterday. 4 guys in NBA history that led the league in scoring, became the NBA MVP, and were also the finals MVP. And look at the crowd that SGA is in. Michael Jordan, Shaquille O'Neal.
Yeah.
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
I think that's it.
That's it.
I think those are the 4. I could double check because I know I sent that to you.
I'm pretty sure that's it.
Yeah, it's okay. You're right. Kareem, Jordan, Shaq, and this guy from Canada. That's it.
I go back to saying this. Should he be in that group, right? Because again, I still think he led the NBA in scoring, and he helped his team to win more games than any other team in the NBA, and they won the NBA Finals. But again, if Tyrese Halliburton hadn't gotten hurt, I'm not sure the Indiana Pacers wouldn't be parading today right down through downtown Indianapolis with a trophy.
All right. They were leading at half, Indiana, which was shocking. Okay, you have all these years of coaching experience. Don't you feel like they were playing off adrenaline and shock where it didn't hit them yet? Like they're playing. Then didn't it feel like by that third quarter, it started to wear off? Like, oh, God, we don't have Halliburton. Like it was such a crazy game. What did you think of Indiana's performance?
Well, again, I think Indiana was Indiana, okay? They played the way they played throughout the playoffs, throughout the postseason. They have been a team that they had great support from the bench. TJ McConnell would come in, bring energy, bring a big lift. He did that again last night. Benedict Mathurin has been a big force for them off the bench. Obi Toppin has been a big force. They've had a deep team in the postseason. And remember, since January 1st, they've been the second winningest team in the NBA, right behind the Oklahoma City Thunder. So they were on a crash course for this finals meeting, no matter what anybody thought, because Indiana played like that ever since January 1st. Last night, when they lost Halliburton, I think some of them were even shocked that he was playing. So I don't think it was as big a factor to the rest of their team. Oh, gosh, how do we do this now without Tyrese? The reality sets in at the end of the ball game that their guys did their job, okay? Indiana's guys did their job. And let me just show you why I'm saying that. If I go back and look at this real quickly with you here. So Pascal Siakam, 16 points, okay? 4 rebounds. That's kind of what he's doing throughout the postseason. The guy that didn't have a good game, Aaron Nesmith, okay? And if you look back at the New York Knicks, Aaron Nesmith beat the Knicks by hitting, 5 straight threes in overtime to come from behind and knock out the Knicks in Madison Square Garden. So Aaron Nesmith was sort of up and down in the postseason. Miles Turner, a quiet night last night, 6 points, 4 rebounds. Andrew Nembhard, great job defensively. He's their defensive glue guy. He had 15 points, 5 rebounds, 6 assists. And then you go to, and 6 assists was number 1 last night for the Pacers. Well, why is that? Because Halliburton wasn't there. So they didn't get Halliburton's playmaking skills, his creativity, his finding the open man, and they didn't get his scoring punch. But if you go down and look, this is the thing that gets me. How much difference was there in this 12-point game? Okay, let's look at something. So Indiana was 11 for 28 from three. 11 for 28. OKC on their home floor was 11 for 40. They both made the same amount of threes. Indiana shot it a lot better. And ironically, Mark, you would not come into the final saying OKC is going to shoot more threes than Indiana. That was a bet that you should have taken. Say, oh, I'm betting that. You'd make a fortune, right? And then if you look at the free throws for the ball game, the free throws in the ball game, let's see. Let me give you a second here. Here we go. Indiana Pacers, 22 for 31 from the, OKC, 22 for 31, and the Pacers, 22 for 29. So both teams make 22 free throws. Both teams make 11 threes. The difference in the game, points in the paint, right? 2-point shots, 2-point field goals, or points in the paint. And I go back to that, and I look at that stat as well. The Indiana Pacers made 41% of their shots for the ball game. The Oklahoma City Thunder made 40% of their shots for the ball game.
That's crazy.
When you look at it, percentage-wise, Indiana shot the ball better. From behind the arc, Indiana shot the ball better. From the free throw line, they both made 22 free throws. They both made 11 threes. This game statistically was neck and neck. Turned out to be a 103-91 game, not a blowout. 12 points because one superstar sat on the bench for 41 minutes of play, while the other team had their big three and every available superstar.
We're here with Billy Mims recapping Game 7. Yes, the Thunder are the champions. All right, just off the eye test, Oklahoma last night had no idea how to close. They don't know how to win. They never won before, and they're the youngest team to win. What did they say? In like 48 years.
Since the Portland Trailblazers and Bill Walton.
You said that Friday. This would be like if a parallel universe, if the 95 Magic won the title. That's what this would be like. Like, they're so young. Remember, Magic had the why not us, why not now? They used to have that slogan.
Right.
So the Thunder don't know how to close. So you're seeing in the fourth quarter, the Pacers keep coming. They just ran out of time, and they kept coming. And the Thunder survived. That's why I keep saying this. The Thunder survived. That's why with this Thunder team, give them another year. Now they know how to win in the playoffs. Yeah. Now they're going to mature. And you see the potential of Chet Holmgren as your third best player. They could become a great dynasty. Now, we thought Denver would win multiple times. We thought Giannis in Milwaukee would win multiple times. Boston won it last year. Oh, they're going to win. No. So you don't know. But my thing with you is, and I want to go over this with you, I give credit to Halliburton for going for it. I don't, he's going to be out next year. I don't care. In my book, same thing with Durant in 2019. Tatum, hey, this is a Game 7. You got to go for it. You can't, if he would have been like, sorry guys, I can't play. Oh no, he would have been ridiculed forever. I don't care. This was a magical run. I know you have coached thousands of players. I give credit to Halliburton. You had to go for it, even though it could screw up the rest of your career. Kind of like, I'm trying to think. There's, like you look at some of the great players. Kevin McHale's where he hurt his foot in one of the runs in the 80s, never was able to walk again perfectly. I give credit to Halliburton. How about you when you look at this?
It shows a lot about his character, okay? And this is what's funny. This is the guy that the rest of the league said other NBA players voted the most overrated player in the NBA. I think he's proven that was an untrue statement. This postseason proves Tyrese Halliburton is anything but overrated. And again, I go back to a statistic that says, what are these guys thinking? Again, most of the NBA must agree with the guys who voted for MVP Because, but if you score a lot of points, you lead the league in scoring, you're not overrated. But Tyrese Halliburton led the league in efficiency of handling the basketball because his assist to turnover ratio, #1 in the NBA. He did not turn the ball over during the regular season. Throughout this year, he led the league in assist to turnover ratio. If you're doing that, there's a big time value. No way you're underrated.
He's a great player. He from Iowa State University. All right. And traded. You look at that Pacers team, like TJ McConnell, undrafted, by the way, And then Pascal Siakam given up. Toronto said, we don't want you anymore. So traded to Indiana. Same thing. That guy Halliburton, drafted by Sacramento, traded for Sabonis. You just think of all these guys on this team. Rick Carlisle, Dallas, you want a title? Whatever. Goes to Indiana. It's a great run. It really is. Yeah. I loved last night from the standpoint of the coaching, and you're a coach through and through. Halliburton goes down. Now what do we do? Right? Like all these ideas. And again, the Thunder, they did not play great. The Thunder should have won. When Halliburton went down, Thunder should have won by 30 points and didn't. So then at the same time, coach, you're just like, what is happening here? What is this game?
Well,
I loved it.
I thought it was great. And the chess match that was going on there between Mark Daigneault and Rick Carlisle, the experience of Rick Carlisle, the youth and majesty of Mark Daigneault, right? And you watched it last night. Like you said, the fourth quarter to me was sort of telling. And you made a great point. I'm not really sure that OKC knew how to finish either, right? No. But the Pacers, you're trying to finish off a team that affectionately me and a lot of the sports world have dubbed the comeback kids. Yeah. The Pacers don't quit.
No.
Tyrese Halliburton said it in a post-game interview after one of the big comebacks. He goes, well, and they said, how do you do it? He goes, well, to us, as long as there's time on the clock, I mean, even if there's 1 second left, we feel like we still have a chance. And it's that mentality that creates that comeback kids mentality, right? And so the fourth quarter last night, the Pacers are not going to quit. They're going to keep coming back. The only thing I question, because you said this, they kind of ran out of gas. They kept coming back, and they ran. But if you remember, at the start of the fourth quarter, all of a sudden, TJ McConnell had a brilliant third quarter. I think he had, 12 points in the third quarter?
He was the only one scoring for like 6 or 7 minutes.
He was carrying them in the third quarter. Then he gets a blow to start the fourth quarter. The first few minutes of fourth quarter, he's out. He's on the bench. And all of a sudden, OKC are pulling away a little, just enough, right? And I go back and thinking, I'm going, why did TJ McConnell need a blow there? Carry on from the third quarter. Me, I'm getting on that back and I'm riding that horse till he dies.
I agree.
And you know what I noticed? And again, I could be slightly wrong. I'm thinking in my mind that I looked up at the clock when they brought TJ back in the fourth quarter, 4:46 to play. A little under 5 minutes left in the game. To me, the damage had already been done, and the energy and all that he brings is too much to ask for. What the Thunder did do right, as it was close and 5 minutes to go, they didn't rush possessions. All of a sudden now, the Thunder took a little longer in each possession, a few more passes. They worked the clock in the last 5 minutes. And a lot of the time, and here's a big mistake I saw as well. I'll give you another coaching tidbit here, right? In late game situations, when it's close and you're trailing and you're fighting back, right? You start thinking, when do we foul? When do we foul? If you're going to have to foul, if you're not going to play the 24 seconds out, if you're going to have to foul, foul early. Foul early. You don't want to give the team that's winning longer possessions They're wasting the time you need to come back. Because the more time on the clock, if you're playing fast, the more possessions you're going to get. The least amount of clock cuts down the possessions you're going to have, offensive opportunities and chances to win the game. So Indiana was allowing the Thunder to move the basketball around. They were trapping and going, but they weren't fouling. So 24 seconds, they try to deny the inbounds. They didn't do it. Then the ball got inbounds. Then OKC brought it up the floor. Then they're trapping, but they don't get a turnover out of the trap. I look at it like this. Trap one time, try to deny. You couldn't get it. Trap one time coming up the floor. You don't get it out of that first trap, foul. Foul. Save time. The Pacers were averaging fouls just under 10 seconds on the shot clock. So they were letting OKC play for 14 or 15 seconds and still ultimately sending them to the free throw line. If I'm going to send them to the free throw line, I'm going to foul them as soon as they inbound the ball. So I saved maybe 8 or 9 more seconds. Well, you think in one possession, that might not matter. But in 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 possessions, 8 or 9 seconds buys you another minute and a half. You understand where I'm coming? That's the mistake they were making. 2 mistakes late in the game. TJ McConnell was out too long. He should have been brought back in maybe 10 minutes to go in the ball game. Let him bring his energy the final 10 minutes. That kid's not going to run out of gas. And number 2, you have to have faster possessions. If you're going to foul early. Don't foul late in the shot clock because you've helped them kill possessions that you might have.
Okay, on top of that, Pascal Siakam in that third quarter was on the bench for too long. The season is in that third quarter, just like game 6, third quarter the other way. Siakam's your best player. Why is he on the bench? It's 2 minutes, rest. Get your ass back out there. See, now I'm getting angry.
You're absolutely right. And here's the thing. When you're on the road and you're behind and one of your major weapons is sitting on the bench out for the entire game, right? Now you need all the firepower you can muster on the court as long as possible because you got to score to win the game. At that point in time, you're trailing. You could get a stop on every single possession the rest of the game. But if you can't score, you can't win the game. They already have the lead. So you got to do 2 things well. You got to defend and get stops, and you got to score. But the Pacers, as you rightly said, in the third quarter, they lost the game in the third quarter because they didn't have all of their firepower on the court.
Well, it's weird so TJ McConnell, again, the guy went crazy in that third quarter. And thank God he did, or the score would have been a 25-point lead after a while. But I thought he kept going, but I'm like, there's something wrong here. This can't be your offense. And that's what you're saying with Pascal Siakam.
I'll give you a story here. I've been in this situation before, and believe it or not, this game I'm going to tell you about was against Chris Finch, the head coach of the Minnesota Timberwolves right now, who had a tremendous year. One of the finest coaches in the NBA right now, X and O wise, man management wise, tremendous coach. Chris has been an all-star coach, NBA all-star game coach. He and I were going against each other at Wembley Arena in London, England, live on Sky Sports, or maybe it was on BBC Grandstand, but the entire nation was watching, right? Championship game, BBL championship final, all the season down to 1 game, just like last night was, right? In the postseason, I got to the point where I said, and a similarity to the Indiana Pacers, because from January on that year, we had the best record in British basketball, right? My Leicester Riders team, not Sheffield Sharks. We were the best team in the BBL from January on. But before January, we were trying to figure it out. We had a new lineup, new chemistry. We had to make a couple player changes. We got rid of a guy. We brought in a guy. The guy we brought in probably turned out to be our best player for the rest of the year. So we made impact trades and decisions, right? But January, like the Pacers, we were solid January on, right? We get to the final against the team that had been the best team in the league all year. Chris Finch and his Sheffield Sharks were like the OKC Thunder, okay? Now, in the playoffs, I knew for us to win this thing, we had to keep our best players on the floor as long as possible. So believe it or not, we were only having a 6 or 7 man rotation.
Oh, that's dangerous.
In the playoffs, okay? Yeah. But we were winning and winning and winning. So we get to the final game at Wembley against Chris. And I think 5 minutes into the game, almost like Tyrese Halliburton last night, 5 minutes into the game, one of my best English player, Carl Brown, who played for Bobby Crimmins at Georgia Tech, when Georgia Tech went to the Final Four against UNLV in Denver, McNichols Arena, way back in the day when they actually still played in basketball arenas and not football stadiums.
Good point.
And Carl Brown was one of the finest English players of all time. Great, great, great defensive player. But playing for me, he could score as well, right? And so Carl gets hurt, goes down, injures his knee, first quarter of the game, taken off in a wheelchair. His knee is wrapped up in a giant brace cast, and he's sitting in the wheelchair for the rest of the game, right? Do you know from that moment on, Mark, I played 5 players. When Carl went out, no more subs. I played 5 players the rest of the game. One of my players, Billy Singleton, looked like he needed oxygen in the third quarter. He was dying out there. He was 6'7" tall, probably 6'7" wide as well, okay? Played at St. John's University. Big East Player of the Year one year, for first team All Big East. Really, really good. Great interior guy, could score around the basket, great footwork, and great passer for a post player. And he was dying out there. But we played those 5 guys because we said, this is it. There is no tomorrow. We came from 8 down at the half and won the game against Chris and Sheffield. And we were the underdogs all the way. But in that final game, I said, I'm going to live or die with the best players I have. Not the young, developing talent on the end of the bench that doesn't know how to win this game yet. I'm going with the best of the best 5 I got. If one of them fouls out or another guy gets hurt, then I'll go to the bench again. But if they're not going to foul out, if they're not injured, I'm keeping my big guns on the floor. We came back in the third, won that third quarter, huge turnaround in the third, and held on in the fourth to win the game. So from my own experience, I'm saying when Halliburton went down, and I'm going to play 24 minutes on the road against the winningest team in the NBA this year, a team that I just beat at home by 20 plus, 30 points up at one time. I'm going to keep my best 5 on the floor, the best 5 guys that I have that can score the basketball, because you're going to have to score combined with getting a few stops to beat the Oklahoma City Thunder. They didn't do that. Oklahoma City, Mark, only scored 103 points, okay? 103. Even without Tyrese Halliburton, the Pacers were capable of doing that if they kept their big guns on the floor as long as possible.
His name is Billy Mims. I appreciate the story. I also appreciate you joining me all playoffs. It's a grind of 2 straight months of doing this. I love it. And I said this at the top. I'm sad it's over. I really am. I'm like, you know, it's funny. The draft is Wednesday, though. It's Wednesday. Not 2 days from now.
You and I thought they were going to have the draft at the finals, right?
Well, they had Kevin Durant get traded in the morning. They don't care anymore. Right?
Hey, how good is Houston going to be now with Kevin Durant? And if they can keep everything else, they had a pretty doggone good basketball team this year. Second in the West, right behind the OKC Thunder, second winningest team in the West. And Alperen Sengun, the Turkish, he's kind of like a mini Jokic, a young Nikola Jokic. He's got his unorthodox skills, unorthodox body, unorthodox how he plays the game. His physical movements on the floor are not ballet-like. That's being kind, right?
Yeah.
But the guy has skill sets and basketball IQ off the charts. So he's a baby Jokic right now. And you bring that kind of youth and that kind of talent, mentality, skill sets with the players they had around him, and you throw Kevin Durant into the mix. I mean, if Kevin Durant stays healthy and can play the major part of next season, Houston could be a team that to maybe put a little bit of money on the side.
They were the 2 seed in these playoffs. I'll just end with this. So 7 straight years with a different champion. 7 straight. Parity reigns in the NBA. And I think every owner in the NBA saw Indiana and Oklahoma City in the final and called up their GM and said, why are we not in the finals? What is your excuse? Well, we're on a 5-year rebuild. No. Why are you not in the finals? And that's why, look, the Magic made the move. Houston makes moves. That's what's happening.
It goes back to Russell Wilson. Every one of those guys, like Russell Wilson, every GM's like, hey, why not us?
Yeah.
Why isn't that us? Why isn't that us? Why didn't we do that? Why couldn't we do that? They all can. They all can. Look, let's talk it one more time to say this. Hats off to Mark Daigneault, okay? But even more so, hats off to Sam Presti,
the man,
okay? And the Oklahoma City, their administration, their ownership and their belief in Sam Presti and Mark Daigneault. Because look at this. Mark Daigneault's first year, terrible record, losing team. Could have lost his job that first year under some ownerships, right? Okay. Second year, losing record, marginally better. Okay. Third year, finally cracks it with a winning record, but barely winning record. And then look at what happens now. Okay. It's been a slow, steady rise from an awful start to a champion last night. Patience, perseverance, and trust. That's what the Oklahoma City Thunder have shown over the last 5 years. Patience from the ownership and the management to the coach and the players. And they have built, they've done it the right way, Mark. They've done it the right way. And it didn't take that long. But there's an awful lot of people out there that don't have the patience to wait 5 years, right? That will look at the New York Knicks. They made a stupid decision. They can't even get a coach right now, and yet they had a coach who had taken them to the Eastern Conference Finals for the first time in 25 years. Okay? So there's a lot of management, a lot of ownerships out there that don't have what the Indiana Pacers and the Oklahoma City Thunder have shown. Okay? Their management has made great decisions. Their ownership believes in their management, and the management has been patient in the development with their coaches and their players. Whether you have a veteran coach like Rick Carlisle or a young coach like Mark Daigneault, you can succeed if management believes in that coach and you share a vision that will lead to a chance at a championship.
Coach Mims, thank you so much for coming on. Have a great week, and I hope I can get you on again sometime. All right, man?
Thank you, Mark. The journey has been fantastic. Love talking to you, and I wish you all the best going forward with the Mark Moses Show, because you're as good, Mark, as anybody on the national sports talk scene. You ought to have the biggest show in the country. I'm going to be patient like Sam Presti and like the Oklahoma City Thunder ownership. I'm going to sit back, and 5 years from now, 10 years from now, I'm going to be saying, look at Mark Moses. I know where he came from. I know how good he was then. I know it's justified how he's been recognized now. And you can sit back there and say, how do you like me now?
I appreciate it. Thanks, Coach.